Add condensed milk. This is evaporated milk. Oops. It's AJ's kitchen.
Today we will make a delicious pumpkin pie together.
Here's the ingredients you'll need from the crust. You'll need a cup of all-purpose flour, half a cup of butter, make sure that's cold from the fridge, and a teaspoon of salt. You're also going to need a bunch of ice water, no specific measurement there, and a bit of vodka too. Now let's get started. To do this, you're going to put the flour along with a bit of the salt into your food processor and just mix it up till it's all evenly blended together. Just a second. Then you put the butter in. Now what you're going to do is just blend this just gently a few times until it becomes kind of a sand-like texture, like that. Then you can pour that into a mixing bowl. See that sand texture? You add a couple tablespoons rather, of vodka, and then you're going to start mixing it all together. It's going to keep, incorporating the liquid into it like this, and you're going to add a bit of ice water as you go, just as much as you need, just to make it barely hold together. I think here I actually add a bit too much ice water because I get a little excited, but yours should be even less dense than this. Here I add a bit too much. I think first try was good. Now, once that's all kind of semi-incorporated together, you're going to wrap it in plastic wrap, put it in the fridge for maybe 20 minutes or so, just to make sure it keeps cool, because you don't want the butter to start melting and softening. After that time, you're going to take it out, put it onto your floured work surface, and start rolling it. And as you roll it, it's going to change from this kind of flaky, how is this dough material, into a real thing that's, oh yes, this is becoming real pie crust. You're going to roll this for a bit, and if it starts getting warm, like mine's getting warm here, you're going to take some more plastic wrap and put it back in the fridge to cool down.
A few moments later.
Now let's prepare to roll it out to the right size to put in our pie tin. You're going to want to take your pie tin and measure it a bit to make sure you roll out more than a big bit of overhang around the edge. I'm using 2 rollers. I'm using this kind of tinier roller for a bit more precision, and I constantly take the pan and measure to make sure I'm making good progress. You're going to want to make it pretty big. Even this is not really big enough, so you can't have too much overhang, but you can have too little overhang, and too little overhang will ruin your pie. Now I'm pretty happy with what I've got here, so what I gotta do is I gotta grease the pan. So I'm taking a bit of butter and just make sure you smear a nice thick layer like that. And then you're gonna drape this into the pan nicely. Try not to stretch it too hard, just use its natural shape, and into the fridge it goes.
Now let's prepare for the filling.
So the ingredients you're gonna need for the filling. First of all, pumpkin puree. You can make this yourself, but it's just easier to buy it from the store. You're gonna need condensed milk, not evaporated milk. I made a mistake here. 3 egg yolks and then 1 whole egg. And then the spices are going to be a bit of cinnamon, nutmeg, ground ginger, and then last of all 5 spice, which is something I found online and actually makes it really good. And of course, like all recipe, you need a bit of salt, so put about a quarter teaspoon of salt in there, about a half a teaspoon cinnamon, a quarter teaspoon of nutmeg, and just a smidge of 5 spice. I think I put in like a eighth of a teaspoon, or maybe close to a quarter. Mix that all together. And then I'm going to throw the pumpkin puree into the bowl of the stand mixer. This is a pretty big can, so I only use about 2/3 of it. It's way too big for this recipe. The eggs go in too, and start mixing that until it's nice and smooth. Just guang 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 guang. Then you add the milk, the condensed milk. But I added evaporated milk, so now after I did that, I had to figure out how to solve this. So I figured something out. I continued, just put the spice mixture in now, mix that up. Now, evaporated milk is both less thick and less sweet than condensed milk. So in order to fix this problem, I need to sweeten and thicken it. So 2 tablespoons of flour, and then 1/2 a cup of brown sugar, kind of fix that. If you use the proper type of milk, you won't need to do this, obviously. But it turned out pretty okay anyway. I made a lot of mistakes in this recipe, even though I theoretically know how to make pies and it's a recipe I've done before. I managed to screw it up anyway. So the pie crust, here's my next mistake. When you cut the edges off, like you should do, make sure you cut off enough that you can actually pull the pie out of the tray in the end. I kind of locked mine to the tray. And you're going to need to put some foil in, because you're going to pre-bake this, otherwise it will get soggy with the liquid filling. And a bit of rice in there helps stop the foil from floating away.
A few moments later.
So after 15 minutes in a 400-degree oven, you can take it out. You can put your rice back to wherever you keep your rice and poke some holes in the bottom, because we're going to put it back in for another 10 minutes just to put a glaze on the surface. So I put that in and Now to glaze the surface you actually need to add a glaze, so use the egg whites from those egg yolks you separated earlier to layer it on. Then you put it in the oven for 10 minutes and it will be nice and shiny, and then you can pour this mixture in and it won't make the crust soggy because it will be sealed by the egg. Once you put that mixture in, it's going to go back into the oven for 1 hour.
1 hour later.
Wow, this pie looks and smells great.
Yeah, it turned out really good, despite the mistakes I made, so give it yourself a try and use condensed milk.
Tell us how you did it.
Thanks for watching this video. If you like it, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss out any new videos.
同时可以在微博、B 站、YouTube 搜索 AJ_Kitchen 戴红色厨师帽的小猫咪找到我们哟。
Your support's our best motivation for creating new videos.
See you next video.